interrupt whatever's going on. Sorry. School is almost over. Next week's great.
All right, we're ready.
Okay, sorry. Welcome everybody to the specially called meeting of the Joint Development Authority of Athens-Clarke County in Winterville, Georgia on May 19th, starting at 5:45. All right, and let me bring up real quick the agenda for today. Yes, you got to protect my privacy. Goodbye. Okay, 5:5. There we go. Wait. 5:5 was a regular meeting. Do we have the? Could you put the?
If you
Go
look
ahead.
at your calendar invite, it's attached to your calendar invite.
Gotcha. Okay, sorry. All right, just give me just one more second to find it.
My calendar invite just took me to the drive.
The most recent one that I sent out, it was attached to it.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Let me see. Oh, wait a second. I got 4 different email addresses up and running. Sorry.
Okay. I'll take notes since Tim's not here today. So that's if you hear
that's
tapping.
fine. I mean, is it in the root folder or is it in? Because I don't see it in the folder that's.
It's on the email calendar invite. It's like attached.
Oh.
I'll send it to you right now, David. I'll send it to you in an email.
Yeah, I just got to find. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, I was sitting right on it and not realizing it.
No worries.
Okay. I clicked on the link in my email for the Google Drive, and it didn't take me to the agenda.
The agenda may not be on the Google Drive. Let me drop it on the Google Drive really quick.
Oh, you sent it as an attachment, did you say? Oh, never mind. Okay. I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
All
I'll
right.
add it to the drive right now too, just for our records.
Okay, I see it now. All right, the first order of business is for us to approve our agenda for today. I'd like to place a motion that we approve the agenda. Let me see, all those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Stephanie will second.
Oh, second, okay, thank you. Seconded by Stephanie. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye. Okay, except for the phone number, I can't tell. Anybody opposed? Never mind. Oh. All right, it's been approved. Let's see. We have no old business. The new business is discussing of using our remaining loan funds.
First, we have to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
I didn't. Oh, never mind. Okay, thank you. I'll put forth a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting, assuming everybody's read them.
Well, there was one problem. When Ken motioned to prepare the special called meeting, there's no second on that, and somebody did second it, but I don't remember who.
For the special call meeting, I wasn't there, so I can't tell you.
Yeah.
I think I did. I think there was 2 different motions, but I think I did one or both.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was
Are the meeting minutes on the site?
I'm opening.
Yes.
You know what? He put that down in G as well, so it is there. The second is there, so it's good.
Okay.
I motion that we approve the minutes.
All right, I hear a motion from Stephanie. Do I hear a second? Dodd? Okay.
Second.
Second from Dodd. Okay. I just saw the minutes, but what the heck? I wasn't there, so I'm going to abstain anyway, since I didn't know what was happening. We got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion of the minutes? Nope. Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the minutes, raise your hand, or say aye if you're on. Don't have video. All right, aye. Same here. All right, approved unanimously. All right, let's go back to the agenda again. All right, now can I, Stephanie, now can I talk about new business?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, first item for new business is talk about utilizing the remaining funds in the Trinity revolving loan for third round of loans and other assistance to small businesses. Steph, you want to start the discussion?
Well, I started the discussion in the email where I said, here's all the things that we need to decide.
Yeah, I know, I saw that.
But first, I think Dan may have some opinions on
Okay,
the
let's
matter.
start with Dan. Dan, can you chime?
Well, when I looked over the action items, I thought I'd better go back and look at our intergovernmental agreement, which kind of spells out what we can do and not do with the money.
Right.
And I noticed a few things that Section 2, there's two pots of money. There's the city money from the Resiliency Loan Fund or Resiliency Loan Program funds, and the CARES Act money, which was originally federal money. The city money is required to have the effect of aiding recovery efforts related to COVID-19. So that there's got to be a COVID connection there.
Okay.
The way that we got the CARES Act money, though, it was the reimbursement of the federal money. And it's not, because of that, it's not directly tied to what the federal CARES Act says, but only to what the intergovernmental agreement says about can be done with that money. And it doesn't seem to restrict that specifically. The IGA talks a lot about the CARES Act and COVID, but what counts is the strings that are tied to the money. So I think that specifically to the extent that we can segregate the money, we might be able to do something with money that started out under the CARES Act program that we can't do with resiliency loan program money. But if the money's been commingled, then I think that we're stuck with following the most restrictive application, so that we would have to do something in the nature of COVID relief or emergency programs. There has to be some connection.
We used the whole 1.6. So
Okay.
that's gone.
There
This
is
is
We
more.
did, and they were not commingled. They were in separate accounts.
yes.
Okay, good.
So yeah, we have about 425,000 of that loan, the revolving resiliency loan program.
Well, the way that I read the IGA after going through it again today, it has to be used in the nature of aid to small businesses, and it has to serve economic development, but it doesn't necessarily have to be COVID related. Now, we need to get the manager's approval of what we come up with, but that's the way I read it.
But I mean, the last time we did the loan applications, it was for small businesses and was not tied to anything else. So it's just a continuation of what we already have been doing, right?
Well, it was tied to COVID. We actually had a question that they had to agree that they had a loss due to COVID. So that's what I was saying. We have to decide, is that what we're going to stick with? And if we have to, then we just have to.
Well, Dan, can we change our criteria for the remainder of the revolving loan fund, or are we get in trouble with that?
I have read through the IGA.
Well, can I make a quick point before we go farther on that?
Sure.
My thought is that it won't matter because any business that has been in operation the last 24 months has been impacted some way by COVID, and I would think it, based on what I'm reading here, Dan, it would meet that definition and requirement, and that's what Congress and the federal government have done with the additional PPP, the EIDL, Target Advance, the restaurant program, the venture program. I mean, they're showing that even today businesses are still impacted, and so I think we're going to have a lot of people that can meet that litmus test. So I don't know that we have to worry how we change it or not.
I agree, but I think Stephanie's right that in practical terms, it boils down to whether we keep that question in there or not. And certainly lawyers are always looking for the way that has the minimal risk and all. And the straight path forward is to just keep that question there if we think that everybody or virtually everybody can give a yes to that. But if the board decided that you wanted to do without it, I'd want to read this again, but I think that we could if we had to.
So what's the general consensus? Do we want to leave the COVID criteria in as a requirement or not?
Can I just throw in my 2 cents before I have to go? So I get that if we leave the COVID question in there, then we can help businesses that existed prior to the pandemic. But what we're doing then is we're, taking maybe newly reorganized or new businesses out of the equation and not encouraging new economic development, just continuing existing economic development, existing economic activity. And so that's my only concern. Like if we leave the question in, I get that, we are definitely within the bounds of what we were tasked to do originally. But if this board is, if this board is going to continue its work into the future, then we might want to think about taking it out so that we're not excluding people who weren't in business before the pandemic began. That's all. I trust you all. I trust this group too.
Well, we have a quorum to make decisions without you, so.
I know, and I trust whatever discussion goes on after this will be engaging and well thought, and your decision will be correct. So I'll see you guys at the next meeting.
Okay, thanks for doing the last meeting.
My pleasure. How was your play?
Well, for me, it was all right, but it was like 58 degrees with a 10-mile-an-hour wind. So the audience were freezing their buns off, and it wasn't as pleasurable for them because of it. But other than that, it went well.
Well, I'm glad to hear it, and I don't see any casts on your legs, so that's good news.
No, I didn't literally break a leg, as they say. I felt the lines, but what the heck.
All right, guys, do good work.
All right, see you, Erica.
Thanks, Erica.
Bye.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. See.
Erica makes a good point, but the other issue that we're going to face if we totally ignore COVID, if we even want to do that, is the occupation tax issue. We required 2 years, so we have to get rid of that unless, because nobody, I don't know anybody that would have started a business last year. So it would have been one started this year, which means occupation tax, we're not going to have 2 years to allow for that.
Well, how do we feel about just getting 1 year's worth of occupation tax to catch new people? Any issues with that, Dan?
As long as we are satisfied that the IGA is not COVID restricted, then it's up to the board what criteria we apply. We are required by the IGA to apply criteria, to have an application form and to screen applicants. But I don't see any difference between, in terms of those requirements, between 2 years and 1 year's worth of occupation tax data.
Well, the other thing we might want to think about is if somebody has started a business in the last year, it's really going to be complicated to have any sort of evaluation criteria for that. They're just not going to have anything that the board could look at. So I think that, it's a great point that we need to do new economic development, but as I understand this, it's a revolving fund. And in the last meeting, somebody even made the point that one company had already started paying back their loan. Maybe when those funds come back in and we circulate them back out, we could use those for new ventures and companies that may not have long-standing criteria for a loan.
And there is more money coming down the pipeline from the new federal act for state and local governments. So I'm not saying that any of that money should be used for our purpose, but we could be a vehicle for some of that new money.
That is one of the things that there has been some discussion. They haven't had, the full discussion of it, but among the mayor and commission is the potential for some small business grant funds that would come through the stimulus. And those would likely be grants again.
Right.
Just because of the nature of the funds.
I agree. I would make them grants, not loans.
But for this purpose, we're talking about a loan. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's say we're going to have a question that says you suffered a loss from COVID. We didn't require proof of that. We just required people to attest to that and said you might be asked for proof later, hoping that would make people tell the truth. We also asked for their 2019 income tax return and 2020 self-reported income. So now that we're into 2021, because what we were doing was looking for 2 quarters of comparison to see if they had a
Right.
loss.
Right.
So now we're in 21. We could ask for the 2020 tax return and the first quarter 2021 to look at that, or we could look at 2020 and 2019 as a whole, those 2 years.
Could we take the second quarter of 19 and the second quarter of 20 and compare them? I guess that's what we did last time, is what you're saying.
That's what we did last time. And we could do that again.
But this time it's real. I mean, the 2020 estimates are not just estimates on their part. It really was what they had
Yeah.
losses or what income, whatever.
We could require a 2019 and a 2020 tax return, but as you know, the extension period hasn't passed yet, so there will be some businesses that haven't actually filed their 20 return.
When did it get extended a second time?
October 15th has always been the extension.
Oh, an extension date, yeah.
I mean, not for LLCs, but for S corps, you could wait that long, I believe. Is that right?
I understand, but yeah, a lot of small businesses are sole proprietor, LLCs, that kind of thing. Pass through entities.
Yeah. I mean, to keep it simple,
is the requirement to review?
Go ahead, Ken.
Is the requirement to review tax returns at all something that was imposed on us, or did we come up with that criteria?
well, we came up with it because in order to get a grant, they had to have a 25% loss. So we had to do a comparison of numbers of at least 2 periods to make sure that they did. And I think for the loan too, we
Yeah.
did that.
And we actually
Well,
shifted
is
it. The
there-
first round, we had other requirements, and then that was complicated. So the second round, we streamlined it a little bit to make it easier on the businesses to be able to produce the documentation.
Yeah.
And
While we're
and
talking
so
about-
was the loan a 25% requirement as well, or was that just the grant?
Yeah, I believe it was both of them, but
Right.
my memory's weak on that.
I think you're right. I think we were thinking if they had anywhere from 25 to 75% loss, they could get a potential loan. But if they had a loss of more than 75%, we couldn't loan them because they're not a viable business.
And nobody ended up getting denied
No.
for that reason.
No, I know.
Let me
Well,
add
I
one
think
thing.
that what I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, Ken. Go ahead, Ken.
I would just what I'm working towards is all the new criteria that is coming down from the federal government for any of their programs is significantly less stringent than those requirements. And I think in these second and third rounds, the approach that the federal government has taken is it's almost impossible that somebody has not been a business has not been impacted by the pandemic. So rather than create a bunch of work for the businesses and for us, I mean, you've seen everything from, just show us 2 months where your revenues were less than the 2 months last year and just put it on the spreadsheet and send that in.
Yeah, but this
And
isn't a
that's criteria.
grant. This isn't a grant. It's a loan that we have to guarantee to some degree payback ability.
Right.
Like, because it's
Well-
public money, we can't just give it out without having some concern about whether they could pay it back. And we looked at a lot of things to determine whether they could pay it back. So there are other decisions that have to be made besides eligibility.
Right. And I'm
Well,
not
but
sure
if you
whether the
add-
old funds has the same criteria. Even if the new funds are loose, we're not using them yet. And, we could apply looser criteria for whatever money we might get in the future tranche. But for the last
But
one, go ahead.
if you ask a company to provide a tax return, and that helps you understand ability to pay back, but not have a litmus test or criteria about loss year over year, quarter over quarter, whatever. I mean, could that not solve that problem?
Well, the percent of loss was less of a concern. It was how much debt did they have and how much cash did they have available to service their debt and whether
Right.
they would be able to service it.
Yeah. It was a calculation based upon their financial data that we determined how much cash they had on hand that over time that could cover the cost of the loan.
So, Ken, what I'm saying is like, I don't care if they had 5% loss from COVID or 95% loss, we could still give them a loan, but that loan's going to be based on criteria about their ability to repay.
Right.
So a loan be a yes, we'll give you a loan, but maybe we're only going to give you $1,000. Like we have to have some way to figure out who can repay the loans.
So if we got a tax return and we got people to submit a pro forma cash statement, like you said, just to give you comfort that they could repay, then there wouldn't necessarily need to be other criteria.
Eligibility criteria, it was, were you in business for 2 years and did you pay your occupation tax? If the answer to that is yes, then you qualify for these things. You attest that you had a loss. And we did look at 25% loss because we were trying to help the people that were most hurt, right? We could get rid of that and just say you had a loss. If it was 1% or 100%, you had a loss. But we do have to decide what are the amounts of the loans going to be, because all that, the bank is not our underwriter. We're our own underwriter, which may be something that you don't know, which means we're on the hook for these decisions.
Right. It's not insured by the banks.
No, I recognize that, but I also think, I guess my general philosophy is get the money into the hands of businesses as quickly and as efficiently and as frequently as possible, because it will do more good in the community, in businesses, than it will sitting in our bank. And so and quite frankly, the money came from this money came from the federal government. Is that correct?
No, sir, it did not.
No, it
That
didn't.
came from the general fund, from local taxpayer dollars.
Right, from
The
Clarke County.
revolving loan fund was seeded with taxpayer dollars from the general fund.
Yep.
Okay.
Clarke County
So
taxpayers.
as long as it stays in the county, then sort of the same thing. Everybody in the county benefits when businesses succeed. So, if we can get it out to the businesses as quickly as possible, look at a tax return, look at a pro forma cash statement. If I remember, the loans were capped at $12,500, so it's probably not a significant payback, and it would be easy to determine. Like you said, Ilka, I think that maybe you only loan them $3,000 or $5,000, but it would be low enough that you could make a determination that they could pay that back in the time period required.
Well, go ahead.
We could launch an application on Monday and make it identical to the one that we have now, and nothing would have to change on it except pulling the grant out, because we already asked for 2019 and 2020 data. How we evaluate that is on our end, and that doesn't relate to what they're giving us. So it could just go like it is.
Yeah, as long as we have some measures of paying it back. In other words, some reasonable litmus test that says, yes, we think they can pay back whatever we're giving them. And I actually remember that we were willing to go to a $25,000 with exceptions, correct?
For a business whose whose debt to income ratio showed that they had the ability to pay it back, we would go higher.
Right.
And we did that on a couple occasions, and on one, we did not do that because they were not going to be able to pay it back.
Right.
And I guess another helpful piece of information is that everyone who applied that was eligible received a loan. So we did not have to turn people away in the first and second round.
That's why we have money in the bank.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
So it sounds like, Dan, are we saying anything that's getting us in trouble right now? Or if we go with it just like it is, we're pretty much good to go?
You're pretty much good to go.
But we have to leave the COVID criteria in place or not?
I say we leave it and just have the question and not
Okay.
say it has to be a 25% loss. That
Yeah,
would be
okay.
the only change that we would make. And that was our
Yeah.
decision to do it. And it wasn't dictated by anyone, if I remember correctly.
I agree. I think everybody was impacted by COVID in one way or another. So yeah,
So
I think keep
Dennis-
it
I'm
as
just,
is.
I'm taking the minutes right now. So the
Okay.
change will be that we will not require a business to prove a 25% loss.
And grants will be
correct?
stripped out.
And grants will be stripped out, correct?
And we're still going to do for-profit and non-profit orgs.
Yes. I would.
Okay. And occupation tax, still 2 years. But this
Gotta
one
have a
is,
gotta have a sense they've been around for a while.
so is it going to be 2020 and 21 or 2019 and 20? Because that was a big issue.
I don't. What's the deadline for 21? Because that one got extended till October, or the 20 got extended till October, and we didn't know necessarily.
It was
Ilka,
May
do you
1st.
know? Do you know when the due date is for the business occupancy tax?
It was May 1st.
Was okay.
Okay.
It
We're
was
past
May
that
1st,
deadline
right.
already.
But I think, yeah, and last year's wasn't, I think the deadline for even last year wasn't until March the 15th. So are we sure that it was May 1st this year? Our team doesn't handle occupancy
I
tax,
don't
so I'm
know.
not
That's
sure
a-
of the
that's a
deadline, but I
finance-
can look it up really quick. Yeah.
That's the finance department question, but
So
Yeah.
if we said you have to have occupation tax 2 of the last 3 years, either 19 and 20 or 20 and 21, but that means there will be some people that aren't current for 21. Or do we want to do 20 and 21?
no, I'd say be flexible. 19 and 20 or 20 and 21.
But if they
I
didn't do a
agree.
21, how do we know they're still in business?
Well,
They're gonna
the way
present
that
tax returns
they,
in some sort of.
the way that the local government would, it takes a year basically for local government to know that a business is closed. So the occupancy tax would not help us on that anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, they
No, but
don't,
it is
they
an
don't mark
intention.
them as closed till a whole year later.
No, but
Unless the
they
business calls and says we're closing.
right. But sending in their tax is an indication they want to continue to stay open. So
Agreed. Yeah, agreed.
I can we can make that work where it could be 1 of or 2 of the last 3 years, either combination. But the problem will be on us verifying that, Ilka, because as you know, we had problems with just 2 years with the way that data comes to us, but we can make it work.
yeah, I don't want to put a lot of work on you though, Stephanie, because you end up chasing down a lot of people for all sorts of information.
Oh, I'm gonna make Ken help with this one.
Oh, great. Ken, did you hear that?
Yeah, the instigator.
Uh-huh.
All
You
right.
can help me evaluate these applications. But really the bank
So do we
the
need a,
bank does it. If the bank's willing to do it again. And I don't know if Ilka confirmed that.
I'm in, but I'm an easy grader.
I didn't, because we didn't know the criteria yet. So, but I can give Rhodes a call tomorrow and talk with him.
Okay. Ken, we have a spreadsheet that does all the work for us. The data just gets keyed in.
right.
And we're going to use that
Okay.
same system.
And the bank actually did process the spreadsheet information.
They did, but I had to verify. I mean,
I know you did. I know you did.
we have to end up doing a lot of it. But so it sounds like we have a motion to open the loan program back up with some changes we've talked about, but we need to talk about
Okay.
timeline.
So hold on, since I'm taking notes and talking. So who made the motion to open the loan program?
We didn't. We were just having a
Okay.
discussion. We probably should have had a motion first, but we first had a discussion and we can form a motion from that discussion.
Okay. Would anyone like to form a motion?
I never heard a formal motion because we were not sure what we were going to make a motion about until we discussed it. But I think we know now, right? So I'd like to put forth a motion that we, based on all the criteria we talked about, that we reopen the loan program. The only difference between, we don't require any loss, right?
We require them to say they had a loss, but it's not a percent. A
Just
certain
right. No clear percentages, and they could either use the 2019-20 or 2021 business occupation tax to determine how much you're eligible for. Is that it in a nutshell?
And they're going to submit their 2019 tax return and 2020 tax return, or a pro forma financial statement for 2020 that is mostly correct.
Okay, that's fine. It's kind of what we did before. So, all right, that's the motion. Do I have a second to that?
I'll second it.
All right, Stephanie seconded it. We've been talking about it a lot. Is there any more we need to say about this?
Do we need to add the language about the grants in the motion?
No, there's no grant
because
funds
we don't
yet.
have grant funds yet. We'll have to have another special meeting if we get grant funds.
About pulling them out?
Oh,
Huh?
yeah. Yes, that is a change, pulling the grant stuff
Pulling
out.
the
Oh,
grants
yeah, that's right. We are not, we're not offering a grant program at this time. So yes, we have to pull out the grant.
And
Dan.
let me offer a word, because we are talking about loans, and we may have another discussion later about grants. And if we have new money, it might not be subject to this current intergovernmental agreement, but if it is, the current IGA says that if there is a grant program, it has to contain an eligibility criterion based on COVID-19 related loss. So we're actually satisfying that with what we're doing now, but I didn't want folks to come back and think that, okay, we can do grants without COVID. With
Sure, I
this
understand.
Okay.
Yeah, since there's no money yet, I don't want to spend a lot of time discussing something that's not there.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. Any more discussion of the motion all right. All those in favor of the motion, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
All right. I got it. All four ayes. The motion passes. All right. Next. What's the next thing?
Timeline. We need to have an open. Yeah.
Right. That's it. Timeline. Well, Stephanie, since you do a lot of the heavy lifting to get it ready, how long do you think it'll take to get it so we can get it out to the world?
I would say we could open it Monday. And maybe we only have it open for a week this time. Ken, we previously had done 2 weeks, and then we had a week for application review, and then we had to send out notifications, give people the ability to say yes or no. Ended up taking 5 weeks. But if we go with a week application window, a scoring window of 1 week, we could probably get the money out in 3 weeks, but probably no quicker.
But I guess my concern is that 1 week is not giving people enough time to pull together their information and get it into
It's
the.
not a lot. I mean, literally, they sign their name and upload 2 documents. It's
I know, but they may not hear about it until the middle of the second week. Depends on how well we advertise it.
Yeah, that was the thing that I was going to bring up next. I'll start to coordinate that piece with our public information office and all the partners that worked with us previously, so that they can, including the Business Alliance is now the Northeast Georgia Life Changer and the Minority Business and Nonprofit Alliance, so they can help us to push it out.
So, I mean, I know we want to help people as soon as possible, but I'd like to advocate for a 2-week application period and then a 1-week evaluation and then the remainder instead of just 1 week. I'd like to suggest we do 2 weeks of applications.
So May 24th to June 4th. How about that? That's 2 business weeks.
Well, can I ask a quick question? Is
Sure.
there a reason why an application period can't stay open until monies are gone?
Well, we had to have like a beginning and an end for us because the bank didn't want to just be on the hook indefinitely. So we're trying to make it a finite project.
And then also in terms of like the scoring and prioritization, it can be helpful to sort of have a cohort that comes in. That way, if you have more demand than supply of funds, it can come in. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to keep it. I don't want to leave it open-ended. I think it's going to create more problems than it helps.
Okay.
All right. So
Well,
we've got
I think 2 weeks is good, and
Go ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
just going to make one other point. I think 2 weeks is good, especially because next week is not only the last week of school, but it's also Memorial Day. People are going to be distracted, so it'd be nice for them to have another week, as you said, to hear about it and get information together.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. Is everybody agreed to that? I don't think we need a motion for that. All right. We'll just note that in the minutes that we are going to have a 2-week application period followed by a 1-week evaluation period, and then What's the other third part of the timeline?
We can score the applications as they're coming in. So by June 6th, we can have them all scored. And then we have to have a meeting ourselves to approve every loan that is, recommended.
Right.
And so that meeting would need to happen after June 6th. And June 6th is a Monday. So we can meet on June
9th.
9th. Is that what our normal days are?
That'll be the Wednesday.
June 9th. Yes.
Okay, so
Okay, I'll
Wednesday,
have,
June 9th at 5:30. Okay.
all right, with that, you sure that's, the 9th is, I thought it's the 9th is a Saturday. Cause
No.
I'm gonna go on vacation. Let me look at my own calendar. I'm gonna be on vacation at the beach from June early, let me tell you in a second. Get the right email address. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Well, I'm gonna be at the beach on the 9th, but they have good Wi-Fi at my resort, so I can be on the call. I'll
Okay.
just have to take time out from whatever we're doing. We're going to, Hollywood Studios on the 6th, so not my wife. Anyway, the answer is yes, I can do the 9th.
Mr.
Great,
Chairman,
okay.
You just won't have to use a fake background for that meeting. You can have the real beach in the background.
Well,
I love
actually,
it.
if I can figure out, I've got a video background that shows a palm tree blowing in the breeze. I don't know how to do it with WebEx. I can do it with Zoom.
With
Maybe I'll
Zoom,
figure it out between now and June 9th.
just set
Okay,
up
so
in the
the-
palm trees with one of those umbrella drinks.
There you go. I'll have that. Well, I'm keto, so I can't have an umbrella drink. I can have a diet bourbon mule. Anyway,
So a key
regardless.
step for all this is just to make sure that First American is on board to keep
Yeah.
going with
So
us
you're
for
going to
this
call
round.
them. Your action item is to call them tomorrow, right?
I'll call him tomorrow and then I'll let the board know what I hear back from him.
Great. I appreciate that.
Please look at the chat window. I put in the timeline we're kind of agreeing on and make sure this is okay.
Okay, I'll add this to the minutes.
So Ken, there's a week between June 10th and June 7th when we notify the loan recipients because we have to ask them, do you still want this loan? And we have to get all that within a week and then send the list to the bank and say, here's the checks to cut.
Well, they're taking loan. Well, yeah, right. It's a loan still, but they got promissory notes and all sorts of stuff to have to sign.
Yes.
It's not really a check that they just cash. It's a.
That's right. Yeah, they have to do their process. But we're
Right.
basically saying, okay, bank, here's the stuff to do. Now cut the checks and do whatever you have to do to make them available. They did it pretty quick.
Yeah. So
That
just
was very
change
quick,
June
yeah.
18th to loans available.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
That would be consistent with what we're doing.
I'm gonna fix this all up so that it's in the format that we had it on the old application.
Sure.
But I just wanted to have some
Okay.
dates together.
I think
Yeah,
that's great.
those late dates look good to me.
So I'm going to be sending y'all a draft of this application, which you're going to have to each fill out and see if you find any problems with it prior to Monday, which means between now and
That's
Monday.
fine. I can do it.
Okay.
All right. Now let's see. Let's go back to our to my credit thing. There we go. I got the timeline. The scoring mechanism. I don't think we need to change that, do we, Stephanie?
No, we're going to keep it the same.
Okay. Then those are the 6 substantive items to talk about for this next round, according to what I see. Is that
It's
correct?
all good. All good.
Okay, great. I got to find my my agenda again. It's jumping all over the place for me.
It's Dan's turn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, can you just tell me what's next?
Yeah, council.
Usually it's Ilka's turn, right?
It's council report next.
All right.
Well,
Dan,
and
you're
our
up.
chairman will have an interest in council's report today, which is about the circumstances under which you can participate in a meeting without being physically present, since you'll be away in June. We have been having, and everybody's been having, virtual meetings under a provision of the Open Meetings Act that has to do with declaration of the state of emergency. And that continues, that particular statute continues in effect, but it has been based on, these virtual meetings have been based on a declaration of emergency by the governor. A bill was passed and the governor has signed, and it's law now, House Bill 98, that makes some clarification of that. So in order to meet virtually, you have to have an emergency, and up till now, we've been looking to the governor to do that. The law's been changed so that that declaration can be by the federal government, by the state, or by a local government, or it can be based on a finding by the authority that emergency conditions exist. So starting as of now, when the current state of emergency expires at the end of this month, and I don't think the governor's going to renew it. I think in June.
I don't think so either. Yeah.
In June, we'll be back to where we were. I won't call it normal, but not what it has been. So for an authority to have a virtual meeting like this, the authority needs to make a determination, or a government body needs to make a determination that there's a state of emergency. We probably, I shouldn't say, we may or may not want to do that, but that option is open if we want to. But the remainder of the existing statute says that the conditions under which an individual member can participate virtually are that, first of all, there has to be present a quorum in person. So you can't make a quorum if you're not there. If there's a quorum physically present, then you look and see what else has to be the case. And the case is that you have to have a health condition, a reason of health, or you'll be glad to hear, absent from the jurisdiction.
I am. I'll be in Florida.
Well, let's hope we have a quorum present in person. And
So we're going to be in person?
I'm here unless we declare an emergency, which I have a hard time saying that this loan program constitutes an emergency for us to meet virtually. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So June 9th, where are we going to do it?
It's at City Hall, technically. Well, no, that is our meeting place, correct, Ilka? That is the official meeting place of the JDA, is in City Hall?
It is the official meeting place, but you can meet specially at a different location if notice is given.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll leave it up. Hopefully, we'll have enough physical bodies. We need 4 physical bodies in the room, wherever we're going to meet. It doesn't have to be the City Hall, but we need 4 warm bodies there. And I can, according to Dan, I'm out of jurisdiction, so I can Zoom in, I can WebEx in.
And I need to find out, I actually have not attended any in-person meetings so far. So I need to just find out the process if there's space at City Hall. I mean, I've only been here since April 1st, so I don't know if there's space. I'll figure out whatever the process is for booking a room and if rooms are available. And if not, we may need to ask Mayor Dodd if there is an alternate meeting place.
Well, actually, we can offer the auditorium, we can offer the depot, we can offer City Hall. We have 3 locations in Winterville alone that are public properties, and I've got even the Winterville centers. I've got keys. Well, I'm not gonna be here, so that's a moot point. Anyway, we can go to any of those venues, right, Dodd?
All right, awesome. Thank you, Wintervillans. I will, I'll check first with City Hall since that's sort of our posted official meeting spot. But it's good to know we've got lots of space and we've got a lot of members actually that live in Winterville. So
right. My recommendation, even though COVID's on its way out, I recommend that we meet in the auditorium because people can spread out in the building. We can keep the air flowing. It's a much bigger space in terms of airflow, and people can wear masks, continue to wear masks. So because of the size of the auditorium, I recommend we meet there because City Hall and the depot are smaller venues. What do you think, Dodd?
I think any of those buildings are large enough for the authority for us to spread out. It really
if there's only 4 people, yeah.
just depends on,
Now, Dan, are you in the jurisdiction? Or you don't have to be there, right? Because you're not a member.
I'm just a lawyer, and I'll probably Zoom in or WebEx in anyway. I'll come in person if I can, but we were talking about this earlier. Our schedules are just jam-packed right now.
No,
It's
I hear
busier
you.
than ever. Yeah.
Right. Well, we are planning to meet on the 9th. If you're available, that'd be great. If you have something to contribute, if you don't feel like you have anything to contribute, you don't need to join us.
I probably better keep an eye on you if you're voting about.
Okay. Yeah, I can. Is it with that two
That's
fingers
right.
to the,
That's
something
right.
like that?
That's
All right. Well, it sounds like we got a place in Winterville to have a meeting.
Okay. And I'll let you know, but that sounds like a strong option.
Okay, I'll let Dodd pick the venue. It'll either be the depot or the city hall, one of the others.
Okay.
And maybe we
All
can
right.
stream the meeting to Facebook. Oh, no, we already got WebEx. Never mind. All
Yeah,
right.
that's another question I'll have to find out is how we handle that from our PIO office, because we stream these and they go live. So yeah, I'll find out about that as well.
Okay. All right. Anything else, El Abogado?
I'm done.
Okay. Now tell me what else is on the list, because I still can't find my agenda.
A staff report from Ilka.
Okay, Ilka, speak.
Well, I don't have any updates right now. Thank you,
Okay.
Bill.
All right. What else is there, Stephanie?
Set date for next meeting,
We know the date's the 9th. It's already been set.
but we need a motion to set the meeting.
Okay. I'd like to move that we have a in-person meeting somewhere in Winterville on June 9th at 5:30 p.m.
Sorry, I have one quick question. Dan, I guess our official place is City Hall in Athens. Are there special things that we need to do if we're not meeting there? Or it's just a matter of putting the other location on the agenda and posting it publicly with enough time?
We would post the notice of the meeting with the time and the place, which is a different place, at the regular meeting place, which is City Hall, and at the alternate meeting place, which is where we're going to meet. And I suggest also putting it on the website.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Ilka?
Sorry, that was my only question.
Okay. All right, Stephanie, what else is left?
Well, we need a second for that meeting on June.
Sorry,
9th.
do I hear a second? Or see a second? Dodd seconds. All right, we have a motion and second. All in favor of the 9th, 5:30, Winterville? Raise hands or say yes.
Is Winterville to be determined? Because I feel like we're gonna meet in Athens unless it's not available. Am I misunderstanding that? Or is this a definite we're meeting in Winterville?
No, well, Ilko, is that an action item for you is to find out if there's a meeting space available in City Hall?
Yeah.
Okay, well then if she says, yes, we can meet in City Hall, then Winterville's off the hook.
We're the back.
Would you like to have the
Okay.
motion read location to be determined by staff?
Yes.
Yes, that sounds good. That sounds like a nice vague motion. Flexible.
All right.
My special.
So who's making the motion? Is that you, David?
Oh, yeah, I move that we have the meeting on June 9th at 5:30. The location to be determined by JDA staff.
I second.
All right. All those in favor, say aye, raise hands. All right, motion passes.
Aye.
Thank you.
A motion, we adjourn.
All right, they got a motion, got a second from Dodd. All those in favor of adjourning, raise your hand or say aye. All right, we got at least three yeses, so we're adjourned, folks. Sorry that I was busy doing something else, and my wife said, "Oh, Ilka called." I said, "Oh my God." Anyway, okay, guys, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everyone.
I'll
Bye.
see you virtually on June 9th.
All right. Have a good evening.
You too, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, wait.